driven by community. Welcome back to Driven by Community, a Modo car share podcast. Thanks for joining us. We're excited to share this new episode with you. Today, we chat about the beginnings and history of Modo with some longtime staff members, David and Matt, who are also OG Modo members. Then, seeing as it is February, we also have a wonderful love story from Trevor and Kat, who use Modo as their wedding vehicle of choice. And finally, we interview Mike Tan, head instructor from Chau Luen Athletics, about the organization's upcoming plans and how they're celebrating the Lunar New Year. Plus, we'll end off with a very sweet voice note memory from one of our longtime members. Let's get into it. Hi, I'm Kelly from the marketing team, and I'm joined here with David Batson and Matt Caruso, who are both longtime Modo staff and Modo members. Introduce yourselves, share how long you've worked for Modo and how long you've been a member. Basically, tell me your Modo history, your Modo lore, if you will.
Okay, sure, I'll go first. This is Matt. So I joined Modo, I think it was 2000. I had a job delivering the Georgia Strait, and I needed a vehicle, so that's why I joined. And I remember I used to go to City Hall to get the truck there. Anyway, and then I started working for Modo, I guess, the next year, 2001. Modo, we were called, of course, the Cooperative Auto Network back then.
Hi there, my name is David. I was a Modo member from 1997 at its inception. It all came about being down at the West End Community Center, and that's when they launched. And I've been working at Modo since on and off for about 20 plus years, and helping out in the early days when they had the trip log books and used to come in and help out with that.
Cool. Thanks so much for sharing, and thank you so much for being here with us today in the Vancouver Public Library. So Modo's been around since 1997, which is before I was born, actually, not to make you two feel old or anything. But yeah, tell me a little bit more about the early days of Modo.
Well, it's funny Dave mentions the trip logs, because that was like, when I think about the early days, it was such a big part of the job. It was a big stress, right? I mean, just to back up, kilometers were recorded by the members, okay, in a little book. There wasn't any of this onboard stuff. So every month when we invoiced, we had to collect all of these trip logs and data, enter the numbers, right? So it was always this, like, anytime you're near a car or had a car, you had to rip out the trip logs, bring them into the office. Anyway, I don't really miss that.
Yeah, and adding to that, I was sort of like when I was helping out initially, getting the trip logs, and you always had to carry like a pair of scissors with you, a ruler, a couple to rip them out, a trip log book, and a good flashlight, because some of the cars weren't in, they're behind buildings and that, and so that was quite, cumbersome doing all that, but we would take.
You go out at night.
Yeah,
you go out at night
nighttime.
and all the cars, and go buy as many cars as you could and get the trip logs.
And then, of course, to get into the cars, because there was no fob system, you had a lock which was behind the license plate of the car. So it's like a bicycle lock, like a U-lock, and you'd open up the lock, and then you get the key out and open the car door. But trying to find that in the dark sometimes, or if it's cold, try and turn the lock to get it open. So you might need to take some WD-40 with you, whatever, to get inside the car.
Yeah, I guess things have definitely changed a lot since then. We have our app now, we have the fob system, so definitely a little more convenient than it was back then. Along those lines, maybe other than the lockbox and the trip logger that was quite manual, I'm curious to hear maybe what you guys think has been the biggest change to Modo over the years, and maybe something that's also stayed the same.
I mean, in the early days, like, I was thinking about this the other day, it was kind of like a car sharing club in a way. You know what I mean? Like, because first of all, you had to come to the office to join, okay? You had to be a shareholding member. If you remember, there's a good chance we had met you, like when you joined. So that part's changed, right? But it had to, like, it wasn't sustainable having everyone come in. But I have this memory, like, because we used to do these orientations, right, to join, like literally it'd be like an hour, we'd go through everything, and so we'd do them in groups. So we'd have like 5-6 people at the table, and often people would pay cash for their shares, That's right. So it felt like a poker game. Like, there'd be piles of people have $500 in cash at the table.
That's right. All in for this car share.
I'd always get nervous, right? Because then we had to, collect it and bring it to the bank. Anyway,
the interesting thing, the early days. Well, Matt can testify this. Like when you call in to make a booking, and of course, it was the old way, using like a ruler and a pencil.
If you're at home.
If you're at home, and then just, making a booking that way, and then you had a few experiences like that.
Yeah.
Matt,
I mean, we had computers, so this is before online booking, right?
Yeah.
So if you called us, we put it in the computer, but when at the end of the shift, like if you were closing, you'd go home, you'd have to print out all the schedules of the bookings, and then people would call you on the cell phone, and you'd have to write it, by hand. And yeah, I remember once walking the dog, and I somehow lost all the sheets. Anyway.
Yeah.
Oh no.
But
I think back
fun
in the
times.
back in the early days, it was because you couldn't really monitor, members are all good, but majority of members are great, but there was a bit more trust that you had to put in the members, because they have a car, and hopefully they bring it back on time, and if there's no booking afterwards, you don't know if they brought back on time unless someone's there to pick up the car. So there's a bit of an honor system, you book out the vehicle, that they'll be back on time. So that's how it's
we had no
changed.
idea who was using the cars, right?
Yeah.
We had no idea. So the job was harder in a way.
Yeah.
Like now you can tell who fobbed in.
That's right.
So I guess over all these years, what's something that has stayed the same about Modo?
Yeah, and what it does for the community, what Modo stands for, and sustainability, and gives back to the community, that's stayed the same. And
it's still a co-op.
It's still a co-op. Still member based. Yeah. We rely on members to help.
We are at our core still a co-op, trying to serve our purpose and serve our communities. So yeah, I think that's been really great. Do either of you have an interesting Modo story, whether it's one of your own, maybe something you've heard or seen through your time working at Modo or being a member?
We didn't have many cars in the fleet at the time, when I joined, and I know that we were doing a road trip, my family and I, and we were going up to Coquihalla, and they used to have this old green, I think it was like a green Ford Focus, and it wasn't, it was a very slow car, so, going up and down the Coquihalla, it's like for some of the old timers who remember the show, the Beverly Hillbillies, it's like you're driving up and down the highway and every car is passing you, and the Modo car we had, which I called it Old Nelly, wasn't sure if it was going to make it back, it was just plodding along, going down the highway. So, how Modo's grown, and the cars they have now and what they've done. Back in the day, there were very few cars, and it's grateful to be able to use a car to get around.
You're like, I promise I'm trying to bring the car back. I don't know if I can.
Saying, hang in there, you'll make it.
Great. I guess looking into the future now, what's something you think that Modo really needs to stay true to in order to keep thriving and continue being a co-op for another, 27, 28 years now?
I mean, that's a good question. I think we're on the right path, focusing on EVs. We have to modernize. I mean, we with the app and how you join, because both Dave and I have kids, and kids are different than we are, or we were, in terms of how. I was mentioning this to somebody, about emails. Modo sends out a lot of emails, right? But a lot of my kids don't read emails, right? Yeah. I mean, they barely answer my texts, So it's we have to keep evolving. And I think we are. I think we're thinking about how to communicate with younger people, because a lot of younger people are open to car sharing, right?
They are, yeah. We have to stay true to our core in that, and what our purpose is in Modo, and and I think we're following that vision, as Modo grows, and in terms of cars, listening to members, addressing their needs and what they want. There's a demand for members, they want cars in certain areas, they want certain types of cars, and we try to address the issues as best we can, moving forward. But I think, Modo's done a great job from where it started in 97, to where it is today. It's just it's incredible. When I started with Modo, we're back in the cooperative auto network, the idea of car sharing, what's car sharing? It didn't even exist. You talk about it to people, and now today it's just it just comes out of your mouth, car sharing, and people know.
More normalized.
Yeah, more normalized. Exactly. Exactly.
Sweet. All right. Final question for me here. Do you have a favorite Modo hack, or sort of something that you wish that everyone would know about Modo?
Well, first of all, I don't know that everyone knows that we're 24/7. Not us personally, but but we have an after-hour service. You can always get a hold of somebody, and so if ever there's a problem, any kind of problem, just any kind of communication or letting us know goes a long way. If you let us know after the fact, we're limited in what we can do, And there's lots of ways to communicate with us, right? There's calling, there's voicemail, there's through the app, email, So communication is important.
We're there you can talk to staff and try and resolve the issue. It may not be like as quickly as members want sometimes, depending during our high season, but we do hear what members have to say, and we do try to address their needs and concerns. So that's something that I feel proud of with Modo, that you can actually talk to someone. Yeah. You may not always get in to talk to someone right away, but you will get a hold of us, and we try to get back to members in a reasonable and timely fashion.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here and sharing a lot of your Modo wisdom, your knowledge, some stories from back in the day. I don't know. Anything else to add?
I would just say, we are a co-op, and that literally the members are in charge. If you can get as involved as you want to be. If you want to just come to the AGM and elect the board or run for the board. You know what I mean? We are a democracy.
Yeah, it's a co-op. So the more that people get involved, help out, the better the co-op runs.
Absolutely. Well, yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Now changing lanes. Hello, I'm Kelly from the marketing team, and I'm joined by Modo members Trevor and Kat, who have a very unique Modo story to share. They used Modo on their wedding day. So hi Trevor, hi Kat. Thanks so much for sitting down with me today. Do you mind introducing yourselves and sharing how you two met?
Sure. My name is Kathy.
I'm Trevor, and we met many years ago at a magazine called Geist.
Which is a literary magazine that at the time we met, was based out in Gastown.
Yes.
So I was the office manager there, and Trevor was the advertising sales. And he would come in every Tuesday. At one point, my colleague was like, I think Trevor might be interested in you. And I said, nah. And then on my birthday, he came in with a giant bouquet of flowers. And I thought, actually, maybe.
There you go.
Maybe you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And we worked together at a folk festival event as part of Geist. I feel like was one of the first times we did anything together.
And then you offered to drive me home.
Yes.
And you asked me if there was a Mr. Kathy.
That's right.
And I said, no, the job's still available. So, yeah.
And the rest is history.
Yeah, the rest is history.
So do you guys want to share kind of how you guys became Modo members and maybe how that played into choosing Modo as your vehicle of choice on your wedding?
So I joined Modo. I found out about Modo very early on in the earlier days of Modo through a colleague that I worked with when I worked at Word on the Street. And he just basically explained to me that you didn't have to own a car. You could just use Modo whenever you needed a car, which sounded really unbelievable because I didn't really need a car all the time and couldn't really afford a car. And so I joined Modo.
Actually, just when we started living together.
Yeah.
And so, things like getting groceries and visiting family from out of town, in the suburbs, became quite difficult. And so one day you came home and you're like, I signed up for this service where you can get a car anytime. So it really made our lives so much easier.
Yeah, and then we just kept using it for different things. We used it to move.
Yeah, a couple times. Help friends move.
Yeah.
And so when we got to the wedding, we tried to stay with local Vancouver vendors, people who had just started out. So our catering, for instance, was Memphis Blues, and we caught them at a time when they weren't doing catering. And we thought, well, we don't really need a limo, and we need a car for things, so why don't we just rent a Modo? And it worked out really well.
Yeah.
A fun fact is we went through a drive-through. So after the ceremony and all the pictures, we had 2 cars rented, and then we went through a McDonald's drive-through. And then the lady at the McDonald's was like, did you guys just get married? And we're like, yeah. So it allowed the freedom to do, I wasn't going to ask a limo to drive us through a drive-through. So it was nice to have the freedom to have the car and do whatever we wanted. It turned out to be really useful and convenient. And we decided to take a photo and send it to the Modo people to be like, you could do this too. Other people could use it for your wedding.
Love it. I think we've definitely used that photo in some of our content, some of our throwback content and stuff too. Yeah, just when we had our 25th anniversary, we're like, look at all the things you can do in a Modo. Groceries, road trips, wedding, drive-through. how's that limo going to turn through all the tight spaces, right, in the drive-through? That's why we have a variety of vehicle sizes. Thank you so much for sharing your wedding story and all your moto adventures. This might be a controversial question, or it might be one with a very easy answer, but who would you say is the better driver between the two of you?
I can answer that. I don't drive. So Trevor has always been the sole driver, but I will say that I am a certified passenger princess. And I would like to say that I make road trips pretty fun. Like I do my part. Because I don't drive, I do my part. But
Absolutely.
yeah.
That's right.
So Trevor's definitely the better driver.
But I would not be as good a driver that I am without Kathy to help me with all the driving logistical things and positive encouragement and making sure the car was locked,
And clean.
fobbing out,
Yep.
cleaning, all the good moto behaviors.
Yes, I was in charge of that. Trevor was a safe driver.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Well, do your part. If you're on aux, if you're on snack duty,
Right.
directions, they're all important things.
Oh, I was a great road trip DJ.
Oh, we love
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
Yes. Very important.
Great. That's all the questions we have. Yep.
That's it.
Great.
That's it.
Sweet.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
Cool.
Thank you.
Now changing lanes.
Hello everyone, this is Crystal from the marketing team of Modo. We are so happy to get Mike Tan from the Chau Luen Athletics to join us today for our February podcast. So welcome Mike Tan.
Thanks. Thank you so much. I'm really happy to be here. Thanks, Crystal.
Yeah, how are you today?
Good. I just had some coffee, so
Nice.
nice and juiced up.
Great. So for people listening who might not really know about Chau Luen Athletics, so can you just tell us briefly, what do you guys do?
Yeah, so I'm the Sifu or head instructor at Chau Luen Athletics. Chau Luen Athletics is a nonprofit community organization based out of Chinatown, focused on helping people connect with the traditional cultures and art forms of traditional kung fu and lion dance. We're part of the broader Chau Luen Society, which was incorporated in 1943, which as a community service organization serves primarily seniors in Chinatown with over 100 units of housing in Chinatown, downtown East Side.
So what first got you into lion dance or kung fu? Do you practice since you're a child or?
I mean, kind of. Well, it's a good story. I mentioned the low-income housing for seniors in Chinatown. So my great aunt and grandfather and grandmother all lived in Chau Luen Tower. So it's at 325 Kiefer. It's Kiefer and Gore, right on the edge of Chinatown. And so I would always be running around there, visiting them in Chinatown. I'd go to Chinese school in Chinatown. Even though I lived in Surrey, I would bus down every weekday and the
Right.
evening to go to Chinese school. And then when I was about 13, because the Kung Fu school used to be on every day and then I had Mandarin school on Saturdays, I eventually was able to get my parents to allow me to instead actually go to Kung Fu on Saturdays in Chinatown. So I bus down there. And I guess I never left. So it's been over 27 years. So that's where I trained. And now I train as the head instructor. So we're raising up whole new generation of students to connect to this culture. And we have inclusive classes in Chinatown. We have a pay-what-you-can model, but it also enables us not just having these inclusive classes and inclusive and accessible classes, but also be able to go out to the community and do a lot of community-based performances throughout Vancouver and the Lower Mainland.
Oh, nice. You know what? I used to practice kung fu when I was 4.
No way.
Yes. And I practiced kung fu till when I was 13. Then I stopped it. So it's almost 10 years of practicing kung fu for me as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Hey, it's never too late to jump back in.
Yes.
A lot of folks misunderstand, I have to start martial arts or lion dance when I'm really young. We definitely have a separate kids class and program, but we have a lot of adults. And when I say adults, I'm talking about not just university or high school. Those are your youth. But we've got folks in their 30s, 40s, even 50s that have just started it this year, right? I think our oldest student, they're about 54, and they're brand new.
Right. So they are practicing kung fu or some kind of lion dance or dragon dance?
So that's a really good question, Crystal. We actually practice both kung fu and lion dance, and for a lot of people, they ask me, why do you do both of them? The reason being is that in China previously, during the Qing Dynasty, so that's over 250 years, the government had actually banned the practice of traditional kung fu because they were very worried about people with the ability and the skill to fight back against them, against their dynasty. So they had outlawed that practice. And so what martial artists did instead is that they would hide their skills through dance and through lion dance and also through Chinese opera. This is a very similar situation as to, when if you might have, some of your listeners might be familiar with capoeira from Brazil. A lot of people think it's a dance. It's actually a martial art, but it was used to hide that skill set. So when we practice lion dance, we actually also practice kung fu. You'll see that a lot of the similar movements are the same, the stances are the same. The lion head is also very heavy. So it's also about training and conditioning your body. So there's a lot of overlap. So for us, being able to practice the two together is how we promote this traditional culture together.
Right, a lot of similar movement, jumping, moving around.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah, kicks, right? So there's a lot.
So with Lunar New Year around the corner, are there any events or performance you're planning that you can share a bit with us?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, every year we're so proud and privileged to be able to bring the traditions and the culture of lion dance, throughout Vancouver and the Lower Mainland. This year, I'll just list out a few of the public performances we have. Strathcona Community Center, we're really excited to be doing that for the first one, for our first performance this year. That's on February 7th. February 21st is Mount Pleasant. We're going to be performing all along Main Street. There's going to be over, I believe 40 businesses that are taking part. So it's like both sides of the street. We're going to be going up and down both sides. We've got 2 teams, so it's going to be really big. And this is the second year with Mount Pleasant. And this is only the second year they've been starting this tradition. Traditions have to start somewhere, But the February 22nd, the Sunday, that's going to be the biggest one, the biggest community celebration, and that's the Lunar New Year Spring Festival Parade in Chinatown. They are expecting over 200,000 attendees.
Wow.
And what I've been told is that it's actually, I didn't know this, it's actually the largest assembly of lions and dragon teams in Canada. Someone said North America. I'm not sure about that, the second one, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Right.
It's definitely a lot going on that day. All of Chinatown to be activated. It's going to be really busy. It's a lot of fun. People need to come down early for that one. It starts at 11.
To get a seat.
Oh yeah, right. There's a lot there.
Get to the front row.
Yeah, so I recommend people take a Modo.
Right.
It's like there's a lot of Modo parking around there. I'm aware of that. Or if that doesn't work, then also public transit, of course.
Right. So talking about Modo, so how did your first connection with Modo?
We were essentially, coming up with the headache of transporting a lot of our equipment, because for lion dancing, we also do dragon dancing. A lot of people ask, what's
the difference?
Mistake the two. The lion dance is the smaller one. It's got 2 people inside the costume. So you see 4 legs. It's like a cute little lion. And then there's the dragon, which is much larger. It's usually at least 10. Sometimes you'll see smaller ones with 5. And I've seen upwards of 15 or 20, if not longer. But the one we usually have trouble transporting is actually the dragon. It's got 10 people. But also it's very long costume. It has poles attached to it, so it's very awkward. We also have a drum, right? It's a very large drum that we need to transport. So all this equipment, there's the drum cart, and we were always having a challenge to transport the equipment. And musing about it amongst our friends one time, and someone suggests, have you looked into Modo as a partner? Because it really gives you the flexibility, right, to use the vehicle on an as-needed basis, right? We use Modo fairly regularly whenever we have a big show. So that's how we got involved with Modo. And
So I know you talk about so much about lion dance. So for someone who has never seen any lion dance before, can you talk about like what it represents?
So a lion dance, I really hope all your listeners are able to see one. You can always find one online, but if they haven't seen one before, it involves this very colorful costume where there's a performer inside this lion costume. It's danced to a beat with drum, usually a gong, multiple cymbals, and it's a traditional blessing ceremony. A lot of people, see it as very entertaining, and it absolutely is. It's a lot of fun, but it's actually a traditional blessing ceremony for everyone present, everyone watching, to wishing for prosperity and fortune and health. A lot of people ask me, they say, "Hey, Sifu Mike, why do Chinese people celebrate with a lion dance?" Because a lion dance, or a lion, is not native to China. There's no lions in China.
Right.
So the origin, the legend is that there was a village in China, and in ancient China, and there was a monster that came down out of the mountains and was attacking this village every year around the spring because it had come out of hibernation. And the villagers, they didn't know what to do. They were just simple farmers and fishermen. They didn't know how to fight this monster, this beast that was attacking them. The villagers went to the local learned person. It was a monk, and the monk thought for a second, because the villagers were asking him, "Okay, what do we do?" And the monk remembered that he heard this story that the Emperor of China had, a few years ago, received a gift of 2 lions from the King of Persia. And the monk said, "Well, I doubt that the Emperor of China is going to lend us these lions, but here's what we can do. We're going to build something that looks exactly like
Replicate the lion.
Right? We're going to make our own lion." Well, they're fishermen, right? So they know how to weave baskets. So they used bamboo, they bent it, and they used paper mache, and they built the form and the shape of a lion. And the lion head, so with the big mouth and the fangs, right? Big eyes. Because they had some superstitions. They also they made it more Chinese. So they added a mirror onto the forehead of the lion. And in Chinese culture and superstition, a mirror wards off evil, right? They also gave their lion a horn on the top of his head, so that way the lion could have a weapon to fight the beast better. And then they asked the local martial artists to go into the lion costume. So when the next time when the monster came down out of the mountains, the villagers were ready. They had the drum to replicate the roar of the lion. They had their gongs and cymbals and other noise. They lit firecrackers to make lots of loud noise to scare off the monster. And with that lion dance, they were able to scare off the monster once and for all. And so that way, every year since, the villagers celebrated by performing the lion dance.
So if our audience are interested in the Kung Fu practice or lion dance, how can they get involved?
Yeah, absolutely. So we offer accessible classes in Vancouver's Chinatown. If folks are interested in checking us out, our website's vancouverliondance.com. They can also find us on Instagram or on YouTube, and they can sign up for a class. We offer classes again on a pay-what-you-can model, so we don't want fees to be a barrier to people being able to connect with this culture.
Right, that's great. Hopefully they will take a model. So thank you so much for Mike Tan to be joining us today.
Thanks everyone. 恭喜發財.
恭喜發財.
Now changing lanes. And ending off, we have a very sweet voice note memory from longtime member Annette.
Shortly before my mother died, I took her to a movie. She was living in a nursing home and confined to a wheelchair, so I got one of the Modo wheelchair vans to take her. We had an amazing time, and it's really my last good memory with her. So thank you, Modo, for giving us the opportunity to have that one last great experience together and a last great memory for me.
That's all for the second episode of our podcast. Thanks for listening. Driven by Community is brought to you in partnership with the Cooperators. Modo members can take full advantage of preferred rates through the Cooperators Member Benefits Program. Just check the Modo Parks page for details. Driven by Community was edited by me, Kelly Zhang, and produced by Crystal Chan and Jane Hope. If you have any feedback or suggestions, we'd love to hear from you. Just email podcast@modo.coop. See you next month. Until then, thanks for sharing.